Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Super-Fanta-Fi. This being a show where I talk about TV shows of the supernatural, fantasy, and or science fictional genre. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about Season 2, Episode 3 of Carnival Row. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. So immediately picking up in the aftermath of last episode, obviously, Dahlia and her right-hand guy, their heads have been put on spikes along with their wings. Well, Philo tries to set up the crime scene. Obviously, Berwitz calls over, but none of the officers want to treat it like anything because it's like, oh, they're dead picks. They try to assassinate the chancellor. He's like, no, not based on what I heard, but he's like, no, I was there and I shot one of them. And it's like, well, that was not the case. The whole point was to showcase like what the row was going through. They could have still gone after you, but they didn't. After owner got shot, they left. But it's like whatever hatred I have for you, like I get to just use this as an excuse. I mean, he was always looking for an excuse to pull the trigger on somebody, and that gave him the perfect opportunity. And it's like, yeah, Philo seen it firsthand. It's like, yeah, the one that you shot was the one that was sick and couldn't fight you back. It's like, yeah, kind of makes you even more despicable that you would, I mean, granted, once again, she was dying regardless, but still, she was robbed, Kane was robbed of whatever little time he had left of her. And obviously, Vignette's still kind of under the opinion like it could have been like one of the humans who did it. It's like, right, they killed Ono, seeing what they're capable of. Like, she believes like, no, like they've shown who they really are time and time again. Like, you want to give these humans benefits of the doubt, but like, you know, even saying with Philo, it's like, no matter what you do, you'll never be accepted by them. I get it. You want to try and handle things from the police perspective because you are a cop yourself, but it's like, that's not going to work. Like, the fact of the matter is following the rules won't get you anything. And at the very least, they were able to give, Dahlia and the other dude like a proper burial, but that's the moment where like Vignette's kind of stepped up more so in the leadership role. Yes, she didn't like Dahlia, but the fact of the matter is Dahlia fought and died for them. And it's like at the end of the day, the thing is, all she ever did was let us scrape by, like whatever burger scraps she could gather for us. But that's not living. That's surviving, but that's not living. We need to, you know, stand up for ourselves. If they cut us, we cut back. Any drop of blood we spill, we draw more blood from them. So Vignette's kind of getting to a little, you know, and that's why I feel like this has all got to be happening because once again, everything with the Pact and New Dawn, that revolution and stuff like that I brought up last episode, that it seems like that's being sparked here to draw that division between the Fae and the humans, because what happened with New Dawn is just getting beat down and pushed down for so long. That's actually kind of something that happened in The Last of Us, where it's like a conversation of you do something like that long enough for people, they will rise up, and that revolution is starting to build here in the Burg as well, and specifically in the Row. And even Philo was like, you keep doing this, they are going to like fight back. And like, he doesn't think like, Dombey doesn't think much of it, but it's like, that's going to be your undoing. Oh, he's super going to get it this season. Oh man, I don't know who's going to give it to him. I don't know if it's going to be Philo's going to end up killing him, or whether it's going to be, the monster, or whether it's going to be Vignette. I kind of hope it's Vignette. You kind of actually want it to be Kane, considering he was trying to go after him earlier because of Ono, but it's like Vignette stopped him because it's like, right, that's just going to cause more issues. It's just going to get yourself killed for nothing. So, but he's super biting the dust this season. He has to because he's such a dick. It's like, oh, there's no way they're going to let that asshole live. So, I think we can expect that. Just the question, like I said, becomes who's going to end up being the one that ends up taking him out. But kind of staying on that front with Vignette, her like sparking that within the others of like, right, we need to fight back, because it's like, right, if we won't fight for us, then who will? Like, or we can't ask anyone else to take this fight up for us because no one else will. So it's going to start off with the picks, but then maybe it's slowly but surely going to span out to the rest of the Row. I mean, because the Ravens, because she was saying like, right, the Ravens, we were trained warriors back in Tirnanok, but it's like, yeah, but since here we'd rather like drown our sorrows in elixirs and stuff. It's like, no, we need to train up, we need to fight back, we need to make these leggers pay and make them realize like, hey, we're not going to take it anymore. You know, if they won't, we try to make them hear us and see us, and this is how they responded. Don't worry about it. Bet we got you, and it's coming back with a fiercer. So. And now, and the sad thing is that it's now putting her and Philo on opposite sides, because Philo ended up talking to Tourmaline, and Tourmaline told her what she saw, both with Dahlia and that other dude, along with the officer that died. And now, working with Berwick, they're trying to find the place where she saw the others' bodies. Dahlia and the other dude's body, and ended up finding the tower and ended up finding the bodies. What's interesting, like, I mean, at least with, like, I mean, what we know with the Dark Asher, it was about taking their livers because there was knowledge you were trying to take from, and that's what Piety was all about and stuff like that. So, but these bodies, based on what we saw, it seemed like all they were decapitated. So it does make you wonder, how were they killed? Because they never made a point to say in the episode, like, oh, they got these very specific wounds. So it makes me wonder, was it just a straight up, like, oh, slice of the head, or what? Because the other guy had his head still on, but once again, this is for the purposes of fueling the fire. So they didn't make no note of any, like, external wounds. So that's what I figure, like, not unless that comes up later, but I mean, it's more so like, yeah, decapitation is kind of probably like the main motive of death. Not motive of death, but main, most likely what ended up killing him. Maybe not. But I love Philo cutting, like, I want to say it was Dahlia's body open and had Tourmaline go through the gut. She was like, no, I don't want to do that. It's dark magic. And she's just like, I hate you. And she ended up having a vision of the row burning. It seems like it's like humans and Fae going at it, and the creature responsible for all of this is flying above. So part of me wonders, are we going to find out, like, is this thing actually invisible? Like, because I'm like, why is all this fighting happening? And like, it's no one paying attention to the flying monster. Because this thing, it didn't look like a dragon, but it kind of had like a dragon body with like its wings and stuff. So I'm like, because the thing looked kind of like it had, we didn't really we only got to look at it through like reflections. So it's, I mean, at the very least, it doesn't seem like it's a Dark Asher. It seems like it's something else entirely. Maybe it might be in that same vein, it might be in that same family, but it doesn't look like any of the things we've seen before. So, but like I said, the fact is everyone's fighting, and then like the very end, it showed up at Samani's place, and Tourmaline's there, and she looks at it and she screams out. We know that Philo eventually goes there and like shoots at the thing. But that's one, like I said, I'm wondering, could it be like it's invisible? Because like I said, no one else reacted to it except for Tourmaline. It's, at least it seemed like it. Like it seemed like everyone's just too busy fighting and killing each other, and like the row is like burning and stuff. So Philo tried to talk to Vignette about this. It's like, right, it wasn't a human. We need to find out who's really responsible for this. It's like, yeah, they might not have killed Dahlia and Home Dude, but it's like, yeah, they did kill Ona. It's like, so we might as well go after the cops. And it's like, don't do that. If you do that, like, it won't just be you that suffers the ramifications. The entire row is going to burn for it. And she's like, oh, here you are, like, and Vignette's taking it as like, here you are, so desperate to be like recognized by these humans. You'll never be a part of them. They'll never recognize you, because he's still stuck between those two worlds. Because in Vignette's mind, it's like, you still refuse to fully embrace being like a Fae. But that's the thing, like, he can't, because they are both two parts of himself. But she feels like more so than anything, it's like you lean into the human aspect, which makes sense. He spent 90% of his life living as a human, but it's like, yeah, but you won't admit and embrace the Fae side of yourself. And Darius kind of gets on him about the same conversation too, but it's having a deadlier issue now, because now where they were kind of divided before because of their past and the complications there, now the lines are being drawn, and Vignette's like, cool, I'm choosing my people. You have to make a choice. Are you going to pick us or them? But for Philo, it's like, no, it's not as simple as that. Like, I'm not doing this because of me. I'm not trying to pick it. I'm picking us. I'm trying to make sure there's the least amount of destruction, because the row will burn, because I know these cops. I spend enough time with them. It's not choosing them. It's knowing them enough to be like, I know these douchebags, especially when you have people like Dumby, like, that bastard will burn the row. You know, it's like, you do anything, you're already going to like cause massive issues. I mean, it's already trickling down just from what the Black Ravens did last episode. And that was them doing non-violent shit. And it ended up kind of escalating into what it has. So Philo's once again torn between those two worlds. And now it's out and about. Like, everyone knows who he is. Everyone knows he's half human, half Fae. But now he's being torn between these worlds, because he's not trying to just choose one or the other. And I think that's what makes going to be ultimately what makes him the great man from the prophecy, is because it's about him embracing both sides of himself, because he's of both worlds. He's the key to uniting both, so now it puts him in a very complicated position, because him and Vignette are not going to see eye to eye on this, because she's like dug in deep about this, and she's like, right, I've tried handling things kind of like try to handle things in a diplomatic means. I try to handle things in a very like passive means of no killing anybody. But it's like, nah, they're not going to play. They're not going to be honorable. We got to be better than them. We got to, it's that whole conversation of, oh, you got to take the higher road. It's one of those things of Vignette's basically like, take the high road, screw that. We'll get down and dirty if we went to it. The humans want to go down that route. We can meet them like on, an even playing field in that regard. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens for Philo next episode. And obviously, Tourmaline ends up running into Darius, which was interesting. Which I'm seeing that interaction. I was like, wait, is that what we're setting up this season? And like, just like their awkward interaction around each other. It's like, I don't think Tourmaline knows about Darius' circumstances. He ended up getting kicked out by Boz because Boz was like, my business has kind of gotten screwed up. Because he was like, I was going to help out your buddy and everything, give him a place to stay. But I'm a businessman, and I kind of, everything kind of got screwed up by the Ravens. Which I love that Philo used that to advantage. It's like, oh yeah, you want to actually put what Darius is out, like being the creature that he is. Like, you want to put him out in the street. Yeah. I thought you were a businessman. You really want to get on his wrong side, and it's like, all right. Whatever message you want me to pass on, I will. And that's what he ended up passing that on to Berwick. So. But like I said, Darius was kind of getting into the Philo about that too, of like, he's like, right, you are a Fae in your head, but not your heart. Meaning like, he's like, I know I'm a Fae, but he hasn't embraced being half Fae. It's kind of like the point that Darius is trying to make. Even talking about the missus, he's like, dude, Vignette would rather like wing herself, like clip her own wings, than like kind of like settle down in that regard, because she likes her freedom. It's kind of his whole thing. But he's also glad, it's like, oh, glad she had the common sense to help you out of that situation, considering you were walking straight into your death last episode with that whole, oh, I'm gonna announce who I am to all those people in the Berg. So, which Millworthy did stop by this episode to be like, hey yo, I got a plan, and it seems like it involves Major Veer. I still don't quite get what he was aiming for this episode, but we'll get to that in a second. And so he needed Philo to keep his mouth shut. And he's like, cool. If what I want to do works out, Philo, you won't have to announce what you are, and I'll get Jonah to kind of slip and slide from his position, because last night's events with the Black Raven embarrassed him, and so it puts him kind of at a disadvantage. So if I can take advantage of that, if I don't get arrested, and even if I do, hey, we get to go back to your plan of you get to announce yourself and get yourself thrown in jail or killed. So it all works out. All I'm asking is just a little bit of time. So he sits down with Major Veer and is like, okay, we can actually give you those weapons a lot sooner. Because, what you said about the Pack's belief in like this, like the separation of like human and Fae. Yeah, it's like, yeah, it is an abomination of what New Dawn is about. But it's like, yeah, but we know that you have connection to the Fae. He's like, oh, don't misconstrue the whole situation. But what ended up happening is Major Veer ended up making an announcement because Millworthy was like, hey, I will talk to the Chancellor about getting your weapons weeks instead of like months. But Major Veer goes off and does it on his own. So I don't know whether he thought like, oh, Millworthy thinks he's going to play me. I don't know what he's really trying to aim for. I'll handle it myself. Or did he want to try and push Millworthy into a position where you have no choice? Because even Millworthy's like, wait, he did? So I don't know if that was the point or not. I don't know whether Millworthy was counting on him doing that, or was that him kind of getting blindsided by that? Which I also appreciate Jonah confronting him and being like, so were you at that funeral? He was like, yes, my connection to like the Picts and stuff like that, kind of referencing Ashling and stuff. It's like, he's like, all right, yeah, I know about that. But did you know about the Black Ravens? He was like, no, I could honestly say I was completely surprised, considering my life is that was the most surprised I'd ever been, considering my life is full of surprises. It's like, good thing he didn't have to lie, because it's like, yeah, that's not the interruption I was expecting either. So I was taken aback by. I love that, and you could see that huge sigh of relief when it was all said and done. I also think Millworthy's found out about Sophie and Jonah, because like the moment like Sophie suggesting like, hey, we can get some strong workers and we can get them to we can make a deal, we can get them to get some Fae back into the workforce, get the factories up and moving again. And Jonah's kind of agreeing with her. And you see that look on Millworthy's face, like he was kind of looking back and forth between them. It's like, I think he figured that out. So he's like, all right, you know, he's sitting back and like taking notice of everything. Like he's very like pretty smart. So I think he is picking up on that. He's like, all right, you guys aren't as divided and against each other as you want to pretend to be. I think he's kind of, at least that look on his face made it seem like that's what he took note of. So. But Jonah ended up finding out about Sophie and the factory thing of like, okay, so she's got a huge stake in these factories, so she's going to be making a lot of big money off of it, which one of Jonah's right-hand people was like, told him about that, which I'm like, did you actually not know about that? I could definitely see that being something Sophie didn't run by you, or, you know, because it's like, right, they are supposed to be united, there's supposed to be a united front, but I can't tell whether Jonah was looking at his right-hand guy when he was walking away. It's like, damn, like they're catching on, we need to be more careful, or I actually do believe him about the fact that Sophie was keeping this from him. Like, that's what I don't know. Which we do get Sophie, you know, for the photo op of it all, Sophie as well as some other people from the Berg show up and they're trying to help out around. It's like, right, we're here to help, you know, deliver medicine and stuff. And she saw firsthand the disease that's killing the pigs. And at first I was like, oh wow, like it is really affecting you. Like you're having a change of heart. But then I completely forgot. It's like, right, she is pro-Fae. She's only playing, I keep like forgetting she's not anti-Fae. It's like, even, you know, it's like even her meeting with Nilly last episode. What's her friend's name? It's the full name. Her full name's like Janilla, but I think it's like she just calls her Nilly because they have such long history. They grew up together. Well, it was a servant master relationship, but still. It's like I keep forgetting. It's like because she plays that villainous role so well, I forget that it is just an act to get what she wants. Turns out it is exactly what I thought it was. I'm like, she's playing the long game to get the chancellorship, which makes sense because once you're chancellor, you can make all the changes. Like being like, she still has to like smooth things over with Jonah to kind of go the way she wants him to. So it's like, hey, let's build up all this anti stuff. Let's get Jonah in his very like solidified position. Once again, I don't know whether you're going to out him. And then that's also the thing too. Philo announcing himself could actually work to her advantage. Like I said, I don't know how that whole thing works. You being like, once again, her position that she's in right now is only because her father's dead. So because of the whole mourning process, she's got the position for now. But obviously other people are trying to out her until she, you know, did a factory thing last episode of like, oh, have a large stake in all your factories. That way you lean more towards what I want you to side with. So it's like, I don't know if she could really get the chancellorship like that. I mean, they both are Longerbanes. They're both, you know, they're siblings and everything. So I don't know how that would work out, but it does seem like that is her end result. But like I said, the armor started, like the mask started cracking when she was checking, when she saw all that death and destruction. Because I thought she was just because we saw Jonah looking like, but I think she was able to keep up the mask until she saw it all firsthand, all these pics, especially because one of them pics' mothers was like, please help my baby, get my baby medicine. And Sophie was holding the child and it broke her heart. And she was telling this to Neely. It's like, this is my fault because she's the one that pushed Jonah to make the decision to kind of do this whole thing with the row. And she's like, it's because of me they're suffering. And it's like, and Neely had to slap her. It's like, all that we've been through. And she's like, anytime that I would misbehave, my father would beat you. And she's like, yes, and you would be there to comfort me. And anytime you did, your father would give you a whipping of your own. It's like, we've been through so much and we are here because we survived, because we are strong. So it's like, all we have to do is wait this out. We can't lose conviction. We can't lose strength. We got to keep this going until we get what we want in the end, you know? I'm curious to see where that goes. Because I think it is just a thing of a matter of stabbing Jonah in the back. It's like, it's always been a matter of getting close to him because it's the easier means of getting what she wants. I don't know if even if she got the chancellorship, I don't know how much you'd be able to sway the Roe and the Berg to change. I mean, you and Philo are kind of in the same vein, but once again, there's just so many mismatch pieces of like what Philo wants, what Jonah actually wants, because I think he still doesn't even fully know what he wants, but what Sophie really wants and what Vignette wants. Like, these are two opposite sides of things. Here's the things going on with Jonah and Sophie in the Berg. They're not 100% on the same page. And same thing on the opposite side in the row with Philo and Vignette. We also had the whole situation with Ezra, who I completely forgot to talk about last episode. Obviously, like, the narrative he's got out there is, oh my God, Agreus took off with my sister. Understandable, like, because the truth, you know, it's all about social standing and stuff like that. It would humiliate them if the truth was like, hey, my sister ran off with him. Except Fergus is spreading that rumor. First and foremost, I'm like, why would you do that? Like, to me, you're asking to put a target on your back. Well, you know, things ended up the way it did. I figured as much. I was like, is Ezra about to kill him? It's like, well, maybe it'll kind of get lumped in with some of the murders. It's like, yeah, but it's different from the murder of that guard or the two, you know, Dahlia and the Black Ravens. It's different than those two murders. So, as well as the officers. So it'll probably just be seen as like a mugging or something. He did take his money, so that might have been like. At first I was like, oh, do you just need the money? Because he is selling off a whole bunch of stuff. And it's like, oh, I'm getting rid of all this stuff. It's like, well, we know he was severely in debt beforehand because Agreus was supposed to be their out. But now it's like that kind of blew up. And now it's like he has no choice. Because he was saying like, oh, yeah, I'm making like, you know, got the police involved. And he's like, you know, got his own fillers out there looking for them. But I'm like, I don't think you have the money or resources to actually have fillers out there. So it seemed like Fergus was his first and only lead towards all this. I know because he was apparently he was handling stuff for Agreus on this side of thing, but I'm like, why would you still tell Ezra? Like, did you not know that? Like, maybe he didn't hear about what? No, because he talked to them, right? But Ezra spun it as like, oh, I'm so apologetic. You know, I'm sorry. I don't want to lose my sister forever. I don't know. I guess Fergus wanted to believe like, oh, he had a change of heart. It's beautiful. Like, coming onto this side of things of like, hey, seeing the, you know, it's like, oh, now he's a lot more progressive. And it's like, yeah, got you a knife to the throat. So wish you hadn't believed Ezra. I mean, Ezra now knows about Imogen and Agreus' situation, but you're like, what can he actually do considering the New Dawn situation that they're mixed up in? I mean, it's a representation of everything he hates, but they seem like they're in a complicated spot with the New Dawn situation themselves, but we'll have to wait to see to pick up, like, once again, the whole, Leonora situation and Agreus, like whether there's something there or not, like whether there's a history or past. Especially with the fact that they were going to kill Agreus because of the whole class traitor thing that, you know, that what Lieutenant or whatever had said to him last episode. But anyway, like Ezra was more so killing Fergus because it also meant shutting down all the rumors he was spreading. Because he was the one that was saying like, oh yeah, they're eloping and everything. And it puts a bad stain on Ezra's. Like, I'm wondering what is Ezra going to do if he finds Agreus and his sister? I'm sure you're going to kill Agreus, but will you kill your sister too? Which she's got nightmares about. Might be very foreshadowing. But it's like, yeah, he'll probably kill her and just be like, yeah, the pup killed her, and so I killed him as retribution. Oh, my dear sweet sister. It's like, you can't just let her be. She's gone. It's like, either he's legitimately trying to bring her back because it's like, she is legitimately the only family he has left, or it's just because he can't have her out there being an embarrassment to the family. Maybe a combination of the two. Maybe one more than the other. We'll have to wait and see. Getting back to the point I was making earlier, like I said, when he took the money out Fergus's wallet, I was thinking like, oh yeah, he needs the money, but it's like, no, he went to make it look like a mugging. So this way, it doesn't, even if they find Fergus's body, it won't be attributed to the other murders. I mean, he would have to set it up to look like the other murders for the council, but now it looks like just a straight up mugging, so they're not going to probably look too deeply into that. Probably especially because if he's known as the Fae lover that he was, serving a puck, then it'll probably get swept under the rug for Ezra's benefit. I don't know if anyone would necessarily connect that he's, you know, so. Definitely going to be interesting to ultimately see where all of this ends up taking us going forward into the next episode. But really, that's all I'm going to talk about. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.